I really have the honor. You know, people say special guest. Damian to me is not only special, but it's an honor for me to be interviewing because for me, he's a real guy. He's got so much experience, and he obviously must be a very busy man. And you know, they say it's not what people say, it's what they do. And you know, I haven't got a big YouTube channel, and the fact that Damian has taken the time out to, you know, to have an interview with a small guy, that shows you, I think that's typical really of Damian's business and Damian's personality. And that is one of the reasons initially why I got involved with the self-defense training system. I'll just quickly go through some of Damian's bio here, because the unique thing about Damian is he knows both sides of the fence. He's got 3 black belts. He's a 4th degree black belt in Tekken-ryu, Jiu-Jitsu and military combatives under Carl Sestari. 2nd degree black belt judo under Yoshihisa Yonizuka. I hope I'm getting the justice.
Yeah. UNESCO. Yeah.
2nd degree black belt in Taekwondo. Varsity wrestling at Lehigh.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the list, John. It's all right, man. You know.
I really wanted people to know, you know, realize that, you know, you're not just coming from someone who's just taken up self-defense.
Right.
And, you know, so you're someone that can actually say the differences between martial arts and self-defense.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, to sum it up real quick, yeah, I mean, I've studied martial arts and combat sport, and I've also was a bouncer and a bodyguard for a number of years, and I'm a first responder as well, volunteer firefighter still, and yeah, so we kind of understand. And again, thank you so much, John, for taking the time. And you know, I should say that first. I just appreciate anyone who's found us and trains with us and appreciates what we're doing and is part of what we do. And I say we as in me and you, not just the self-defense company, because when you're in, you're a part of the community. And, you know, it takes a, you know, to realize, you know, what they're looking at, because there's people that look at it and be like, yeah, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's fine. That's cool. But, you know, the people that know the difference and who experience those stressful situations understand and appreciate, you know, what we do. And, you know, I've been lucky to have been trained and mentored by some pretty incredible people. So, you know, it just worked out that I was able to build a business around, you know, what I cared about and to help people without having to force them to go through decades or years of training to do something that should come naturally to them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your sort of down to earth. Even in your videos, it comes across. You know, you're down to earth and good sense of humor.
Opinions vary, but yeah.
You know, like that one where I think you're teaching the strangleholds, and you know, you say, and you breathe in, do a deep breath, because it's the little things in life that count. Just things like that, because we at the end of the day, we are dealing with a fairly serious, you know, topic.
Yeah. You know, I think keeping a sense of humor when the shit hits the fan, I think that's an important quality, because it indicates to me, if you were on my team and, you know, it's going down and, you know, you're still kind of joking, that means I know you're still with me, you know, that you haven't gone and blacked out, right? You haven't gone down a hole where, you know, if you're still kind of cracking wise, I'm like, all right, I know I got some, you know, I got someone there. So you're still good to go. You know.
No, Damian, actually, I got an email yesterday that goes through the history of combatives. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do a brief rundown of the history of combatives? Just a brief, because I know it's fairly lengthy.
Now that combatives has kind of been synonymous with, reality self-defense, there's no, there's no like root style or, something that, one system that lays claim to it. I mean, it's just combat, right? So, what we've grown to interpret it as is reality self-defense. And, every system of close combat or every culture has had fighting arts. I mean, they've had a method of defending themselves, and they've had ways of systematically teaching their members of their tribe or their community or their nation state, how to fight and protect themselves. And with, it's like a little kid about, MMA, and I'm like, look, the Greeks were doing this way back before anybody even thought of it, and Japan was doing it. I'm like, this isn't a new concept of pitting different martial arts styles against one another. It just was, the UFC was the latest reiteration of it. So when we get back to, the history of this stuff, I mean, this has been going on since Cain, killed Abel with a rock, right? I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. So, when you look at what has happened with the study of this and where the self-defense training system falls into it, came out of that, Shanghai Municipal Police, Fairburn, doing his research after he was, almost killed one night on patrol. That he started with Professor Okada, who was a jiu-jitsu, I remember, the quote was, a sign said jiu-jitsu and bone setter. That was his two things. So I guess if you were breaking the arms, you should be able to stand them. So, he started with Japanese martial arts and then expanded into Chinese martial arts, and basically was looking for, okay, what works and what doesn't. Let's eliminate the sport and the ceremony and get right to the heart of the matter. And that was been everybody's, self-defense journey, I feel, is that people are always looking for that. And, what happens is, and where we go wrong, is that usually they adapt a certain martial art to self-defense. So let's say, even if it's like wrestling for self-defense, or judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu for self-defense, the problem with that is it requires, whether it's effective or not, is that it requires that you have a strong background in each one of those particular disciplines in order to actually perform the rest of the defensive tactics that are included within that program.
And it usually takes a long time too, eh?
Correct. I mean, to get, from my experience with, if I'm coaching, like when I was coaching wrestling or judo, and I had like an athletic, fit teenage male, it would take me probably about 2 months before they knew kind of what to do, but it would take years, 2 years, depending on their athletic ability, to become average. So, that's a long time. And, most people don't have that. And especially coming with my background from wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu, I could very easily have gone down the grappling path, but to be honest, that's not the answer to what we're doing here. And it doesn't help someone who has, limited experience, or has experience but is now older, out of shape or injured. You just can't, do those things. So you need to look at things in a different way. And that's why, that's how we approach putting a self-defense training system together, which, again, coming from that combatives background, from guys who are just like, okay, that's great. How can I make this person, how can I make my squad as effective or maximum effectiveness in the minimum amount of time? Okay, great. So this is what we're doing. And I think, when you're dealing with, people look at this and they're, it's simple, but then there's layers to it, when you're like, okay, we're looking at hand-to-hand combat, but kind of we're not, because we use we use weapons. You're like, how do you defeat a grappler? I'm like, I don't know. I use my knife, like I just like there's other, there's not like, we've got this tendency to MMA everything and make it like it's, okay, we're me and you pitted against each other in a fight and we're trying to beat each other. And the fact is it just doesn't happen like that. In fact, most times it depends on where you want to go with this, but most times, people, if it's street crime, most of the time just the resistance enough is to get people to stop. So I realize it went off on a tangent because we started this with the history of combatives. So to get back, to circle back, just to say that, these men and then women, had to use hand-to-hand combat and close quarter combat into, into their jobs, into their daily lives. So they couldn't waste time getting hung up on, ceremony, style, nation. Yeah. They wanted to know what worked, and that's kind of where we got started with all this.
Thanks, Damian. So, what is the major differences? What are the major differences between martial arts and self-defense, and for real world, self-defense or to protect yourself? Because I think one thing out there, belief out there, is that if you take up martial arts, that's self-defense.
Martial arts is kind of self-defense has been like what I like to call the punchline of martial arts. So at the end of they list everything, they're like, oh yeah, and self-defense. The reality is you have to look at martial arts as a brand, right? So they're usually developed to promote a competition or a nation. I mean, take UFC, for example, MMA, right? So they developed a sport where they can promote a style, right? Or, they can promote a competition and an event. Look at Taekwondo versus Shotokan Karate. So Taekwondo is got higher kicks and, axe kicks and spinning kicks and doesn't depend a lot on the hands, where Shotokan is, front kick, side kick, reverse punch, very simple linear things. So when you look at them, you can tell that they're clearly different styles. So with martial arts, there's a doctrine and a set of etiquette and a set of techniques that brand it and make it its style. Self-defense is just survival at all costs by whatever means necessary, whatever gives you the tactical advantage at the top. If that's gouging an eye, if that's kicking them in the nuts, if it's hitting them over the head with a stapler, whatever works within the parameters of the activation of the sympathetic nervous system or the fight or flight mechanism that happens when you feel that someone is trying to rape, murder, or, seriously injure you. So that's what we care about. And tactics drive what we do. Tactics come first, techniques come second. So martial arts, there will be a series of etiquette, there will be a series of rules for safety, and there's going to be a way that they specifically approach it. We're very simple. We're like, action is faster than reaction, right? We base our responses on position and distance. We want to maintain our balance, disrupt their balance, and then we're going to use techniques that cause maximum injury to our target and minimum injury to us, period. So that could apply to a firearm, an edged weapon, an empty hand technique. So it really doesn't matter. If you condition your fist, then great, it's a punch. If you don't, then it's a heel or hand. The techniques are secondary to what we do. Or martial arts, it's more the techniques and the rules of conduct are primary. And we're all about survival. We're not technically vanquishing our target, where, in martial arts and the competition and the spirit of things, it's a cultural thing. You're developing spirit. You're, have a sense of community. Sure, you can get those things training in self-defense, but it's really not designed for that, for the individual. And to the most part, you're most likely going to be attacked when you're alone. So, becoming self-reliant, becoming self-aware is a huge part of what we do.
Yeah, you touched upon something back there about the what happens when, and this is a big thing that I think a lot of people don't realize when they get into martial arts, and I'm not in any way putting down martial arts at all, but I think a lot of people that get into any sort of self-defense, martial arts, don't realize what happens to a person when they get in that fight or flight, and how the gross motor skills, that's all you've basically got left. You get the tunnel
Right.
vision, and all the
Right.
fine motor skills sort of disappear. So at the end of the day, you probably, all those, techniques that you've learnt over the years will probably, that require fine motor skills,
Right.
will probably disappear out the window as soon as, the proverbial hits the fan.
Right. 100%. And that's what, I mean, we're taught to practice and think in a way that if he does this, I do this.
Yeah.
If he does that, I do this. He grabs this, he throws a punch, I block it. I do, there's so many, when it happens, you've got that, when you're, that's fine when you're, in class and you're training. And first of all, just the mere fact that you're going to class means that there's a possibility somebody may attack me, right? So you're going to work out, why you're there, you line up, you do your things. Even when you do like random assault where you're standing in the middle and like a lot of people are coming at you, it's still predictive defense, because your partner's going to telegraph and they're going to allow you to respond in a manner that you're supposed to respond. So it's like really heavily choreographed. But when you're out and about in the real world and you're thinking about, what you think about, paying the rent, your job, I don't know, maybe trying to get laid, you're just thinking about things that people think about, then all of a sudden you're approached by somebody who you don't know. And like, this guy will just need the time, or is he lost, or am I, or what's going, then they're testing you, and then they come to you, and then they close the distance on you, and you're still not sure. So when they assault you, or somebody else assaults you that you don't see, it goes, and now you're dealing with, you're looking at like figures and spaces and distance.
Chaos.
And, right. Yeah. And you just got to think, and you can only do one thing at a time. So to think that he's going to do this, he's going to grab my collar and I'm going to move and manipulate his wrist and, break it, and he's going to laugh, I'm going to laugh at him. And no, you're going to shit yourself. And then you're like, holy crap, you have that oh shit moment. And you're like, it's happened. Even like you were responding to a call, or you're working a job and you're hearing it on the radio and you're getting there, you're sizing it up. Even when you get there and you see the whole place is on fire, you're still like, holy shit, that's a fire. There's still like that, oh yeah, this is really happening. And we're in a truck, we're dressed, we're going, we're responding, but when you're right there, you're like, okay, you take account and then you get to work. Magnify that as a normal person, just walk, even if you're off duty and you're in the military and you're in law enforcement, because if you're not on patrol or responding to a call, you're in like civilian mode. That goes for everybody. And, you're still, it's one thing when you're in the military and you're on patrol, you're geared up, you've got a mission, and, but in the real world, you're going to the movies, you're coming out, it happens. So when that flips, and it flips for everybody, again, there's only so many things you can do, like you said, and you need to practice to operate under those conditions. And you have to be really careful about what and how you do it, because we have a tendency to go down the path of, you like getting creative, because to be quite honest, there comes a point where this shit is really boring. You're like, okay, he grabs it, bang, I hit him. Okay, hit him with a blackjack. But it's supposed to be, because it's simple and it shouldn't take up your whole life. You should just do this and then get about your world. And I don't want to keep you training for decades. That's crazy, right? I want you to incorporate this into your life. It's a skill set that everybody should have. And then just, tend to it every once in a while. And then that's it. You don't need to. We're not fighting in a competition. We're not, we are just training to live. and just adding it and then having a good time and being with family and friends and
of course you've got the other thing of we're not always going to be 25 years old where we can do
right,
double and backflips, and we're not always going to be at the peak of our physicality.
right,
Sometimes we might be walking down the street with a broken arm, or limping, or
right.
you're just not at your prime all the time. But
I always like to say if you're injured and you can't train, what you're doing is not self-defense. So if there's something you can't go and do, even if it's pick up a thing of pepper spray or blackjack or whatever, if you can't, it's like, oh, we trained in self-defense, oh, I can't work out, I pulled my hamstring. Well, then now what? So what happens if you're attacked? How do you adjust? How do you adapt? I'm not saying you got to go hard, you don't, but you just better be able to figure out what you're used to doing and adapt it to your current physical condition right now. So once you do that, then you can go. But until then, if you can't do it, then what you're doing is not self-defense.
And the reality, of course, is that people are probably going to try something on you when you are at your weak point.
Totally, of course. The leopard doesn't pick the strongest gazelle.
Yeah.
It's looking for the one that's kind of limping and lagging behind that gives him a shot. People, criminals, predators pick targets of opportunity, right? They're not looking to get in the gym and to do that. So they're going to set themselves up. No one normal or no street savvy person would ever say, you know what, I'm going to pick that guy because I think he's going to kick the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, I really want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah, we'll attack him because we'll attack that guy because he's going to knock me out.
Right. No, you don't. You look at him, you're like, I can take him. And that's what goes on in your head. So, when you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, yeah, I don't, I'm not in great shape. I need to, it's not, they're kind of like, you don't doing what we're doing is not about getting in shape, even though it could possibly be a byproduct of it. Doing what we're doing is adapting who you are right now to self-defense. That's it. And we're going to start with, your awareness, the tactics and understanding of how this happens. Then we're going to use some simple techniques to enable you to have a plan for when you're approached. And then, we'll go from there as you continue to go down, however long you want to take this thing. So, yeah, when you're hurt, when you're older, when you're sicker, that's when, people get attacked.
Yeah. Now, I'd just like to hone in on what makes your system different. I think there are quite a few things, but I'll briefly sort of state a few, and then maybe you can enlarge upon them.
Sure.
A few that I know of is that you can do it. You guys say that and I believe it because I've done enough to know that it works. You don't need a partner necessarily, and in some cases it can be a hindrance because you can't go full on. You learn a few techniques for maybe 1,000 attacks.
Right.
And you can actually do one-off lessons over the phone now, which is relatively new.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can just go over the the things that actually make your system different from other ones.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned before, tactics come first. Okay, so everything we do is based on position, distance, momentum, and balance. So position, where you are in relation to your attacker, distance, how far you are from your attacker, and momentum and balance are maintaining and gaining the momentum of the altercation and maintaining your balance, destroying his. And then, of course, the techniques are anything that causes you minimal injury and him maximum injury. All right. And then beyond that is we stay away from specific defenses. So specific defense is that if he grabs my wrist, I do this defense. If he grabs my elbow, I do this defense. I mean, we break these down into general things single hand grabs, body grabs, double hand grabs, and you're using a lot of what you learn in the beginning standing techniques. We just adapt those core combat techniques, as you mentioned, to any position and even on the ground. I mean, to get into, you could sit there and go down the rabbit hole with grappling and ground fighting for days. And I spent the vast majority of my life doing that. And it's great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the intricacies of it. But for the most part, you don't need that. And depending on how effective you want to be on the ground, it's not about, if you go to the ground, it's, our goal is to get back up as fast as possible. But if opportunities present themselves, we're going to take them. And yeah, there's, things get more complicated when we're there. So circling back, it would be those, pillars of self-defense that I mentioned and non-specific self-defenses that separate us from everyone else, and that's what makes what we do successful.
And what do you say to people that will say, "Oh, Damian, you can't learn self-defense by video"?
I would. It's funny. I just, let's just burn all of the books and videos and movies that we have. I mean, to be able to say that you can't learn from watching another human being demonstrated over and over and over again, and be able to dissect it and rewind. I mean, every sport I've ever done, I've watched film. Now, I will say this. When it comes to martial arts and combat sports, you use video and film as a part of that. But yeah, you need to train and actually go because it's a competition and it's a completely different thing. That means you have to get with good competitors. You've got to work through and find better competition to increase your timing and all these things. This is sports, guys. This is not self-defense. Self-defense comes down to awareness and using, it's more what we do to somebody than an exchange of like sparring, and you got to really train with, when you do it is, when you hit, you train to hit with full power. You train to damage your target. You train to dehumanize your target. And
hence, that's one of the reasons why a partner can be a hindrance, because you can't really train to go full on.
Right. Now, I will say this, so if you wanted to do the ultimate, I would say self-defense training system, just add judo, if that's what you really wanted to do. But if you just are interested in self-defense, don't go do judo, do self-defense training system. Because, in 10 minutes, I can give you something that you can use right now. You may never get that in judo or martial arts. It may be years before you figure it out. It's going to be built in and mixed in with everything else that's there. So I can tell someone right now, I'm like, look, here's how you're gonna avoid a situation. Here's how you're gonna interact with your environment. This is what you're gonna do. When somebody comes close to you, now you're gonna fucking hit them. Excuse my language. You're gonna hit them as hard as you possibly can. Great, and keep hitting them. 99% of the time, that'll stop most attacks, and it's happened. I mean, and there's people there. The CDC has literally, if you look at it, the Center for Disease Control there's 10,000 people who survive violence in the United States every year. They're not all secret ninjas or black belts. Then you look through the stories. I'm like, people are just one of my close friend of mine just got carjacked. I posted it on Facebook. His name's Jeff, and he's not a small guy. He's a thick guy, and he was down. He's actually a pyrotechnic special effects guy. No training whatsoever. There's people like, oh, did he train with you? I'm like, I'd like to say yeah, but no, he didn't. So guy went in and he got carjacked, put a gun to his head. He got approached by one kid who was asking him questions, and then the other kid came up and put the gun to his head. And all he said was, I'm just not going to die today. It's not going to be here over this. And this is broad daylight, Atlanta, Georgia. So he grabbed the gun and started wrestling around with the guy. And he goes, and I started like twisting it because I saw something. And he goes, I almost shot myself. He goes, and then I just kind of pointed it back at him and he let go of the gun. And then I just took off. So he goes, then I ran because he was on like the outermost pump. And he ran past to the gas station. And he goes, and it was crowded. It was 5 p.m. And he turned around and the kids had taken off. But he's like, I don't know. He's like, I saw this. And he goes, there's somebody with really no training whatsoever, just a will to survive something that, a black belt or someone will be prompt on YouTube to say, oh, that'll get you killed or that'll never work. I mean, he just resisted. Yeah. And he just got the weapon. He just cleared the weapon. And then, thank God he was stronger than the guy. But, still, it was nothing spectacular. So it's in everybody to be able to defend themselves. And not everything is a fight to the death where your attacker is trying to kill you. Most interactions are they test you. And then they're going to try to see what they can get from you without getting, either caught, identified, or injured, right? So once that starts happening, people attack you because they think they're going to be successful and get what they want from you. As soon as you resist, now it becomes that cost benefit the cost starts going up, and they're like, you know what, I'm out of here. There's stories of this. Just Google women defeats attacker. And you're going to find stories of women who don't look like they can get out of the way of a shopping cart, defending a home invader. So, that notion of having to, spend all this time and do it. And, and again, as I said, 3 black belts. I love martial arts. I love combat sports, wrestling, football, American football for your audience at home. I mean, this is, what I do. And, it's not that. I mean, that stuff's good for build competitive nature. It's good that, when you do it in the military to build confidence. And again, that, you're fostering that fighting spirit. It's like the benefit of sport. But, when it comes to you protecting yourself and your loved ones, you just got to get right to the point. And you don't need to sit there and have somebody, saying, oh, that was really good, John. Good job. No. You hit this thing, you hit your dummy, you hit your heavy bag, you go through it, and you just have a plan and then a willingness to execute the plan. Then you go through it. And, hey, if you want to add some competitive element to it, I suggest judo if you're going to supplement because of, one, it teaches you to stay on your feet. Okay, it doesn't pull you down to the ground. 2, it teaches you to gain a position of advantage. What we don't want to do is go to our back willingly. And that's my problem with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some of the grappling. And my problem with wrestling is that the double leg takedown. I don't want, you don't want to be able to going underneath somebody and just putting yourself on the ground. Again, we're dealing with outdoor environment. We're dealing with a multiple attacker potential, that if he has friends and you're rolling around on the ground, you're done. You're rolling on glass, bottles, whatever. It's just not a good place you want to be. So we wind up on the ground. We don't choose the ground. So I would say the only thing, and then even with judo, it's like really, even if you did it for like a few months, if you had no experience whatsoever, just to feel how it's like to kind of move around with somebody else, great. You stand up, you move around, you stay on your feet, develop your core a little bit. You get, you feel that, you get that sweat and stuff. Okay, good. But from a, defensive tactics point of view, it's like, it's beyond that. It's really not doing you any good. And I find that, even when I had the schools and back when I was teaching karate, I watched it ruin, I watched karate or taekwondo ruin good street fighters, because these are guys that are just willing to go at a drop of a hat, and now they're kind of corralling it in, and they're like, really, all of a sudden they're overthinking what came naturally to them. So you really want to let that instinct out, and that's where the training with like no quarter on your training dummy or on your heavy bag, and then just not giving a shit about what that person does. Excuse me, they come in, you just blast them. If that's it, there's no way for you to escape, you do what you have to do.
Yeah, thanks for that. Now, what do you say to the people that that will say, "Well, Damien, I've got a gun. That's all I need."
Um, it's to say that a gun isn't effective for self-defense is not true. I'm a firearms guy. I used to have a concealed carry permit in the Republic of New Jersey, as we say. I have firearms. Fact of the matter is, in order for you to get, unless you have your firearm drawn and aimed at your target, it might as well be, might as well be at home. Because if most altercations start with a verbal exchange. So there's an approach. There's if it's someone trying to mug you, there's going to be an exchange. They're going to test you, and then they're going to start to they're going to get into your space, and that's where you're coming into problems because they're going to be taking the initiative and attacking first. And then you're going to have to draw, aim, and fire your weapon. And then you're going to have to make sure that you hit them in a target area that will stop them from attacking. So, regardless, even if you hit them, you're still going to have some physical skill set to protect yourself because, you're waiting for them to bleed out. You're not, unless you're hitting them in the base of the spine, or you happen to puncture a couple of lungs, still, they're gonna still keep coming. So, no matter what, it's like, the old saying, it's like, anything from 10 feet or more is a gunfight. Anything from 10 feet or closer is a real fight. So, when people are in your space, you're still going to have to interact with them and determine whether or not you're going to use deadly force. And, the people that are all just shoot them. It's like, when? When do you just shoot him? When he asks you for the time, or, he comes up and he appears lost and he's looking for his dog. When exactly do you pull your weapon and shoot somebody?
Well, you shoot him up. You shoot him after he gives you the wrong time.
Right, exactly. Right. And that's where nobody thinks of that. They think like, this is all I need, and it's easy because it's the magic button, right? But it's not. I don't believe weapons will be taken away from people and used against them. I think that's stupid. I think, most times you'll be able to maybe, you're gonna have to fight to use your firearm. So you better have a plan. And I wouldn't depend on one thing ever to get the job done, ever.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to something like this or anything, you have redundancy, right? You've got multiple layers. So look, you don't have to go get a black belt, but you better look at guardian weapon retention. I mean, you better know how to create space and draw your weapon, and then you better practice it.
There's also that sort of well-known video. I don't know. I think you've probably seen it. As the one where a cop stops this guy for some reason.
Oh, the boxer. Yes.
He's a big guy, and I think the cop puts about 5 bullets in, and he still keeps on coming.
Keeps going. Oh yeah. That was a cop and former boxer, and that guy was like, "Yeah, oh my God, I thought he was gonna kill me." And yeah, so there's a lot of data on that. If you're on like some of the first responder stuff, like Police One or Caliber Press does it as well, where you get reports of that. You'll hear that all the time. I mean, one of my buddies was like, "Yeah, he shot a guy in the heart with a .45, and he ran for another mile and a half down in Florida, and then died in like the McDonald's bathroom." You know what I mean? There's like shit like that, and yeah, I mean that's a mile and a half with a bullet in your chest. Some of the other things there, people think, well, I carry a 45, I've got, knockdown power. I'm like, no, you don't. In fact, they've proved that. I mean, really, knockdown power comes from like rifles, but like 30-06s and larger caliber rounds coming from long barrel guns. 45 isn't that much larger than a 9mm, and I know there's some gun speak, but it's really, target placement. It's really where you hit them, not if you hit them. So you're just pulling a little bit bigger hole in them with the 45. And the problem is, too, this is why most of the police departments are moving away from them, is because it has a bigger recoil. It takes you off target. But anyway, I'll digress. So, yeah, a gun is a tool, just like a knife is a tool, just like my hand-to-hand combat is a tool, just like, the edge of hand is a tool. I don't depend on one thing. I depend on me using whatever I can to give myself the tactical advantage. And that's how we get into the self-defense training system. And again, what separates us. I'm going to do whatever it takes. If it's my car, it's my car. If it's me, smashing a lamp over your head, okay. I'm not going to. I chuckle when I see, again, knife defenses, because it's always the person with the knife against the defender without a knife. And while we'll practice some of these things, we also practice, for the most part, running, moving around furniture, throwing things at the target to get the target to cover up and to move and to stop their momentum, so we can, effectively, attack them, so they can't wind up and stab us multiple times with the weapon. And I don't see many people ever doing that. It's always like, and it's what you don't see is what matters. It's what you don't see is, what I'm training is, if I'm with, if I face somebody who's armed and I'm unarmed, I don't have the compulsion to arm myself. I don't have the compulsion to use my environment to get away from these people. I am training to go into a situation where this person clearly has the advantage just from being armed. I go, that's a tactical fail from a self-defense point of view. If I'm facing somebody with a knife, I'm going to use something around me, and I'm going to create space. I'm not going to stand there and feel compelled, because I pay $300 a month, to learn this shit, that it better work. Right. So I want to get I'm going to move, unless, again, I'm in a situation where I've got loved ones there or whatever. They're taking off in one direction. I'm staying or going in another direction, and that's it. And if they move towards my kid, I'm taking them. If they move towards me, good. I'm distracting them. That's how you got to think about this shit. Because when we get into most systems, and especially in the martial arts, it's that one-on-one competitive thing where it's me against you. Okay, now you have a knife, and I'm still gonna attack you and defeat you, and I'm gonna win. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna do this, and I'm really not gonna hurt you. That's the other thing that we like to think that in the perfect world, okay, you attack me, I will attack you in a manner that doesn't hurt you, and you're going to get discouraged enough that you're going to leave me alone, and I'm going to look like a great guy. But in reality, no. This is somebody who is damaged, and whatever, they're going to try to do their worst to me, and I'm going to, my adrenaline's going to hit, and I'm going to do what I need to do to survive. And that's really it. And that's where your highest percentage of success is. And that's really what it's all about. It's increasing your survivability.
Yeah. Now, as far as people wanting to learn from you, how can they go about that? And because you guys also, if someone is interested in becoming an instructor, they can do that as well.
Yes. So, two things. One, just go to myselfdefensetraining.com. There's a couple programs on there, but really look at the self-defense training system. Most people just get the elite program. You could try it for 5 days. It'll get you access to on-demand videos and live support from our instructors. It's not just videos, like you mentioned before. It's a complete interactive platform. So We also have live training available, just like on Skype, where you're paired with an instructor and they'll take you through. And, you know, guys do it, you know, do like, heck, just even once a month is great. I mean, we don't want to sit there. See, again, the martial arts business model is basically is built on your training longer and more often because they have to pay rent and they need to continue to, you know, the more people they have, the longer they stay, the more successful they are. We really don't do that because we're scalable and that was never my intention when I first started teaching. My goal as an instructor when I first started teaching was if you came to me within 6 weeks, I would teach you all you need to know about self-defense. And the rest of it was knockdown karate, judo, and Aikido jiu-jitsu because that was something cool that we were into, and it was a study of martial arts. But your 6 weeks with me, you're going to learn what you need to do when it comes to self-defense. You're going to walk away after a few weeks and be like, oh, shit, I feel like I can really do something. So that's the self-defense training system. So it's a matter of just, you know, giving you that. So when you get there, you know, we've got instructors, you can train with them locally and use the videos. I mean, this is how it's meant to work. The live instruction is meant to work in tandem with the videos because all this training is built on that. And this is what, you know, blows my mind. I'm like, for years as a martial artist, I would look for videos to help me practice better. Now, everything you need to know is right there. So if you're training with an instructor, he's going to tell you, look at module 1, units 5 through 8 through, you know, for next class. Great. I can go on and look, watch, practice, and accelerate the shit out of my learning. And there's nothing I forget. How many times you go to class, you're like, oh, that was great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Wait, we practiced. Wait, what did we practice? Yeah, I remember that. And you never get to it again. Right? It's like maybe months, you know, till you freaking do it again. Now everything is right there. So it's meant to be, you know, that you're not, I don't want you beholden to me or one of my instructors. I mean, it's there. So it's, you know, you can, you know, use that and then train live if you want to. You know, that is the option. And if you're training live, you better be using the videos because that's really all that's what's going to get you, you know, accelerated and get the recall, and you'll never miss a thing. You'll never have to take a note. I mean, no one's taking notes in martial arts class. No one. You know, you're going and you're practicing and you're doing drills and you're like, oh my God. I would go back, and this is me, and frantically write down like whatever progressions we were doing in jiu-jitsu, you know, or judo. I'm like, God, the ground fighting, shit, what was that? I'm in my car writing notes before I drove home. So, you know, you got to, you know, now everything is done for you. So the idea is to give you a 360-degree, you know, support system where it's like, okay, you know, I go in there, I have a question, I post it, it gets answered. I can get certified with an instructor. We test, we have all the syllabus, we have everything there. And to become an instructor, it's more of it's a coaching. It's not just
you can do all that online as well, can't you?
Correct, 100%. And all the certifications are live certifications. It's not a rubber stamp or a black belt by mail type thing. It is, you know, you get on thing and here's your, okay, this is what we're working on. Okay, let's get you certified to level 1. You have to demonstrate and teach a technique. And I don't care if that takes you a week or a year or more. If you know it and can explain it and can demonstrate it, what the hell? It doesn't, that's great. That's what I need. You don't need to be able to, just, it doesn't, I mean, there's a time constraint on a lot of stuff. I mean, one of the things that always used to piss me off is like hearing with martial artists that like, it took me 8 years to get my black belt. It took me 10 years to get my black belt. I'm like, do you suck? Like, are you bad? Or is your instructor an asshole? Because it shouldn't, I mean, you could be a doctor in 8 years. So I'm like, if you're training that much in something like a martial art, you should be proficient enough in a year or two, depending on what it is. If you're an athletic person and you have an aptitude for something, I mean, there are guys that come in that are just better than me. They're athletically gifted. God has given them a gift, so why am I going to stand in your way? Because I think there's someone said somewhere that this should take 5 years. It's ridiculous. So if you can do it and you can explain it, okay, you're done. So what we do is, that's a different, so beyond the training and the certification, we help you build your business. We coach you, and, you get a mentor and they take you through the steps. So it's not just thanks for your money, John. Here's your certificate. Go about your business. We want you to be successful. It requires work. It is a business. You got to hustle. The upside is, there's people there that are at various levels of success, and people try things, and it's not necessarily just trying this, and then I expected I did this and it didn't work. Yeah, but that not working probably led you to something else. That not working led you to 2 other things, which led you to another opportunity, which created, another business stream that you didn't think of when you first started this thing. So it's action, it's consistency. You sign up as an instructor, we're going to give you a scorecard, and it's basically a list of things that you need to do. And then every month you meet with your guy. I mean, obviously they're in constant contact if you need them. Your mentor, they're going to take you, they're going to take you through it. But, when you're meeting, you're going to go through your scorecard. You're going to see what you're doing. And so at least you've got a list of things like posting, like setting up your Facebook page, like, doing community outreach, and, teaching your first lesson to your family members, and getting certified in level 1, all that stuff. So, I can tell, the people who are successful, the people that do it. The people who aren't successful, the people who don't have anything on their scorecard filled out. So anyway, it's more than just a certification program. It's, a little business building program. And yeah, so, that's, so everything is right on that myselfdefensetraining.com site, which is right now going over a complete rework. So hopefully the first week of September, we're going to launch, and it's going to actually have a little bit new, different interactive platform. We're going to, get rid of the forum. We're going to use more of a chat function, which will have a video function in there as well. So you can immediately get on with an instructor if you want to go into a video chat room. And everything's going to be laid out a lot simpler with one dashboard and a lot cleaner. And yeah, so we're excited about that. It's a long time coming because the current site's about 6 years old, and it's definitely in need of some housekeeping.
Now, we've only got about 7 minutes left. And a couple of things that you guys have recently gotten into is the bulletproof backpack and the bulletproof vest.
Yes.
Which in today's climate, could be very useful.
I started, my wife and I guess in 2013, there was an active shooter event right down the road from us, and I've got kids, and, I've used body armor in the past with doing the bodyguard stuff. Really didn't know much about it. I assumed that body armor stopped bullets. So no. So we got into, I started getting educated on it, and in the course of about 2 years, learned quite a bit. And we developed a jacket system with a concealed carry backup that it's a soft armor. It's level 2A or level 3A, which is the highest you can go with soft armor, which will stop all handguns. In order to stop rifles, you need plates, and that's what we've included in the backpack because the backpack, it can be concealed. I patented that design. That deploys into a bulletproof vest in less than a second. So it's essentially, it could be a fully loaded pack, and as soon as you see problems, boom, you just nail it. Those are all available at bulletproofbodyguard.com. And that site is relaunching this week. So to get into why we did it, again, is that active shooter event that was in the mall close to us in 2013. And, we live in this area. It just kind of hit too close to home. I realized with all the tactical training that I do, I'm not bulletproof. So we started to develop this line, and there's a couple things we wanted to do. One, it's got to work. That's why we partnered with an Israeli company to manufacture it. They've been doing it for years, and they know a little something about body armor. We also wanted something that people would wear in everyday life. So right now we're about to launch it's not a new version of the jacket, but you'll be able to just purchase the protection and then wear it with multiple jackets. So instead of having to buy another bulletproof jacket, you can just buy one of the outer jackets, zip it on. Both outer jacket versions, the sleeves zip off, so they can be vests as well. And we're coming out with another version of the backpack, more tactical looking one. This one is actually really the one we have now. The commuter is good because it doesn't look like it's a bulletproof backpack. So the other one looks like a bug out bag. It looks more tactical. I mean, the fact is, we wanted something that would fit into your everyday life, and something that you could afford. Some of the stuff that's out there is like $1,000 for a jacket, or more. We're about half that for what we have, and then when you add the ability to have multiple jacket for the same, so basically you're getting 2 jackets for the price of one. I mean, it really becomes, now you can wear it like year round. The backpack, again, the closest one is around the same price, but you have to take it off to to unzip it and then put it back on, which is ridiculous. Who the hell is doing that? No one. Plus, it's not a plate carrier. Ours is a plate carrier as well, so you can carry the ballistic plates in there. So, yeah, I mean, the shame of it all, what's happening with the backpacks, if I will say that I think a lot of body armor manufacturers are overstating what these things can do. First, the ratings are meant for an adult. So a teen or an adult. So when you're buying a 3A backpack for your child who's going to, second grade, I mean, they get shot in that armor, it's probably going to kill them anyway. Because the ratings are allowing for depression of about 22 millimeters on impact, and that could be devastating to a child. Second is they're showing like people holding up 3A protection in their face or above. Yep. You're dead anyway. So, one, the first impact of the round is going to kill you. You're not going to be able to, and even if you are alive, you're unconscious and you're not holding onto that backpack. So, furthermore, the backpack, just with the protection in the back, if you have, let's see, I have a book here. Hold on. So, these books can stop a 9mm. All right. So if you have like a few textbooks in your back, your backpack, you don't need the armor. It's really there's no point to it. So you're spending $150 or whatever, $100 on nothing. What really matters is what covers your front. The back is what it is, and obviously we have protection back there, but it's your front that you really got to worry about. So when people are freaking out and they're buying these things and spending $150 on a backpack or a backpack insert, it's really just it's a waste of money, to be honest. And the other thing is, if there's an active shooter event that involves a rifle like an AK-47 or an AR-15, and you're buying 3A armor, it's useless against what you're freaking out about. It'll a rifle round to go through that like it's a t-shirt. So it's not a case where something is better than nothing. It just will not work. So we really wanted to create and offer a product that works like you would imagine it should. I mean, it's not $150 by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not $2,000 either, or $1,000. So, that body armor, that the backpack with plates is about just under $900. But again, you're stopping everything from, you're stopping a 5.56 round from an AR-15. You're stopping a 7.62 round from an AK-47. You're obviously stopping all the handgun and everything, beneath that. So it is like you are wearing SWAT gear in your backpack, and that's what we wanted to do.
And you've got some good videos of both the jacket and the backpack up there too.
Yeah, we should those things. Well, it's funny because quick story. So when I first started it, I just went on Alibaba and I started looking for body armor manufacturers. So I hooked up with somebody in Pakistan, and they sent me a sample, and it was like Kevlar lined sweatshirt. So I'm like, or jack. I'm like, all right. I'm looking at my buddy like, this thing doesn't look like it's gonna stop shit. So we go up to his range, and there's a little voice that, I'm like, should I just wear this thing? I was thinking about like, put it on and shoot it. And well, it's a good thing I didn't, because that those rounds are right through that thing.
Oh.
And I'm like, do you understand? And I emailed back. I'm like, do you understand what I meant by bulletproof? So that was and then I started working with another group in China, and they weren't ballistics experts. And then I found, a company in Israel that would do what I wanted to do. So I gave them our specs, and they actually gave me something that obviously is certified, but more importantly, worked. And then that's what you see is shooting, up there. And I hit that backpack with a lot of stuff. And that was good. That was good.
Video.
That was fun. That was fun.
Now, I like about your one thing I'd also like to tell the audience is that your customer support is awesome, basically. I mean, every time I've got in contact with you guys, it's either you,
right,
yeah, pretty much within 24 hours, which is amazing these days.
Thank you. That's one of the things I really, again, we're not perfect. There's things that fall through the cracks all the time. But, being responsive, even if we're not in the office or they're not in the office, because everyone that I have works remotely, they'll respond and just be like, okay, I'll get to you. You might not see them sometimes on a weekend or a holiday, but for the most part, we're there, we're responding. And, that's important for us. And as we continue to grow, that's like the last thing I'm giving up, because I want to make sure that, people are taken care of, especially this day and age. Not like you would want to, you still want to do a good job, but I appreciate the value of people's opinions and their experience, that like somebody over here gives a shit, because I know, there's a lot of things on the internet, people trying to rip you off, right? So, you put your credit card in there, you click enter, and there's like a hope and a prayer that, someone's not charging a family vacation in, Belize on, on what you just said. So, I appreciate that. And we're still, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but we're getting there.
It's definitely, the many strong points, obviously, to your company, but that's definitely one of the strong points. I was surprised, actually, because a lot of other companies, you're lucky if you get a response at all.
Yeah, they outsource a lot of that stuff. Like you use like Zendesk and things like that, and usually the people are. I said it's like the last thing that I'm gonna like. I maybe never stop overseeing it, but yeah, it's something that you need. It's the customer experience has got to be priority one in any business, whatever you do. I don't care.
It definitely shows.
Someone will flame you on Yelp, or you gotta, there's something to be also, we're being held accountable as well. So, and that's, you don't want, and most of my reviews that are bad A lot of them are people that aren't even customers. You know, they'll sit there and they'll say something like, I suck, and then I'll respond. And then they'll get all pissed off if I make fun of them, which I do. I'm a dick. I do. I can't help it. I have fun. I can't keep my mouth shut. You know, where...
Yeah, I mean, even on my small YouTube channel, you know, I get my trolls, and
Right.
I try to be reasonable, but every now and then you have a bad.
Listen, so I'll tell you right now, you never write to the troll. You always write to the person reading it. All right. So, and this is what I tell our guys. I'm like, if they type listen, secret for troll hunting. They type a lot. You pick one point that you know you are right on, and that's what you comment on, and then you steer the conversation that way. But you also torture them, and I think that it's funny that someone can contact me and be rude, and then we respond. I'm like, look, you just leave, get out of here, and we don't care. You know, it's like you're going to be like, you know, we'll respond in a way that is not corporate, and they will get all pissed off. Like, oh, you can't talk to me like that. You just told me to fuck myself. Right? And I go, and now I can't talk to you like that. Why? You know, it's like, what? I'm like, you started it, and I'm responding to you. And they, you know, because they feel like they can just, you know, take their day out on you and be like, you know, it's just somebody in customer service, fuck them. You guys suck, you know, this sucks, or, you know, you're ripping. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So, you know, you know, people need to also be held accountable for who they are on the other end. So the people that, you know, post shit anonymously and troll, you know, it's like they need a life. Try not to, you know, don't take it personally ever. Yeah. Right? Because, you know, they're looking at something and they're looking at every little thing, and they're going to, you know, pick it and nitpick and, you know, tell you, oh, at 136, you dipped your elbow this way or whatever, dude. You know, you're missing the whole point of this. And this is why I don't comment on stuff. Also, if I see something that is like outrageous, I have to see like the whole context of what it was posted and what they're doing before I can be like, oh yeah, that's not good. Because I don't, you know, I mean, I could be looking at a, you know, some type of drill and people are like, oh, this is self-defense, right? Or maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know. So
Damian, how can people get hold of you?
Well, again, just go to myselfdefensetraining.com, click contact us, and reach out to us, and we'll get it. That's the easiest way to do it. Email's the best way.
You know, I really want my audience and subs to, you know, realize, you know, how appreciative and well, I am, and what, to me, it really says something about you to do this interview with me. And I think that's typical of your whole company. You know, you're all about, you know, the helping anybody. You know, it doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, what they're doing. And that says a lot about you and your company. And I really want to emphasize that for my audience, because, you know, this is, you know, you're obviously a very busy man, and you've picked him up. So I really appreciate it, Damian.
Thank you, John. My pleasure, man.
And so when I'll obviously send you a copy as soon as I get it loaded in that. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Because, you know...
Nope.
Well, let me know. And
I'll keep spreading the good word, and, you know, that's it. You know, for every troll out there, I got, you know, 100 guys like you, you know, that are, you know, that know what we're about. And it's important for me to have, you know, to know that, you know, without you, I don't exist. So, you know, I don't put food on my table. I can't do what I need to do. I can't enjoy life. So this is how this works. And, you know, just doing this, I appreciate you taking the time and reaching out and doing this because, yeah, this is important to me. And, you know, how you feel in your experience, that's what, you know, that's why I do this stuff. Besides being able to keep a roof over my head, you know, it's just, I'm just lucky that those things met. So again, thank you very much for having me.
I think, yeah, people, I think people more and more appreciate people that are real. You know, there's
Yes.
a lot of BS out there. So when you come across someone that's real, their company's real, it's just, and I'm also affiliate partner with you guys,
Right.
and that's just like a bonus on top because
Sure.
you know,
Right.
if you're you know, if you're sort of promoting an awesome company, well, why not? You know,
Right.
be an affiliate for them. It just
Right.
makes sense to me.
Oh, keep in mind, we're good when the new site goes up. Remind me to send you the new link to sign up for the other. We're going to still use the old affiliate program, but there's a brand new one. So
Okay.
yeah, make sure I send you that. I'll send out an announcement.
Okay.
That'll
Well,
go out.
now, is there a way I can make a small donation or something?
No, not at all. 100% no. Thank
You
you.
know, because people probably think, you know, you know, Damian agreed because I'm paying him thousands of dollars. In
No,
fact, you know, I don't really like to talk about money on these things,
sure.
but you know, I, I want people to really know that what sort of guy you are, and I haven't actually paid you 1 cent. You know,
Okay,
so to do this, and I want people to know that. You know.
sure. You know, again, it's my pleasure. I look at it as an opportunity for somebody. You know, to me, this is an opportunity. It's a test, dude. It's a huge testimonial too, right? So you know, that's what I get out of it. You know, so I've someone that this is the first time we've met, and you've been doing this for a while. You know, to go out there. I mean, that's what's if there's anything that's in it for me, that's it. And that's why I appreciate it, and I appreciate the effort that you're going through to put this up and to get this out there. Because when you get it to me, also I'll post it on my YouTube channel as well.
Oh, cheers, man.
That'll go out. Oh, it's good stuff, man. You know, listen to me. You know, people want to hear me jabber. I go, that's cool.
No, well, it's actually good to have someone that doesn't mind talking. You know, because I do see some
Never my
interviews
problem,
where
bro.
you know,
Never my problem. Yeah, I don't
and I'll be spreading this, sharing it as far and as wide as possible too, Damien,
Okay,
to
cool.
help
All right,
things
man.
along. It's a sort of symbiotic. We're both helping each other, really.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right, man.
Cheers for that.
Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.